What up, YouTube? My name is Sharice. Welcome to Reese TV. Glad that you're here. And this is actually going to be the first video to a new series that is going to spread awareness about airborne food allergies. I have allergies to peanuts, almonds, and flaxseed, and even watermelon, but that is not really that important because I can definitely just stay away from watermelon and I'll be fine. But with it comes to the peanuts, almonds, and flaxseed, I also have airborne allergies to these three things. And so that's why I am doing this video. On April 17th, I had a severe allergic reaction. And it happened because I was at an acting job and the client was eating peanuts. And actually, I got done with the job before I came in contact with the allergens from them eating the peanuts. As I was having an allergic reaction, I got asked a ton of questions, which you can imagine I couldn't really answer very well, though I definitely did, and not as well as I would like to. So now that I have more air to my brain, I wanted to go over some of the questions that I heard. And I have them written down over here, so if you see me just constantly looking over, then that's the reason why. One of the questions was, what normally happens during my allergic reactions? Now, this came coupled with, I've never seen an allergic reaction like yours before. Okay, so not many people are very familiar with airborne food allergies, though this person claimed that she was. She claimed that she was, but then right afterwards she said, well, I did role play in medical school, and the role players would act like their throat was closing. So I've never seen your reaction before. And of course, in my head, I'm like, what did you say? Did you just compare me with actors? Whew. I had to calm myself, not just from my allergic reaction. I had to calm myself from being angry by what she just compared me to. Because us actors, we don't get everything right. We only can go from what we are exposed to. And not many people have been exposed to people who are allergic to airborne food allergies. So, back to the question. Each time is different, though there are some things that just remain the same. It all depends on the exposure and what I was exposed to. Peanuts are the worst. It's like getting hit in the chest and the very air in your lungs is just gone. Like, I explained it to her like COVID, because that's how I felt when I had COVID. It was just, I felt like somebody just hit me in the chest and all the air just left me. So that's kind of how it feels. Also, all the strength out of my muscles is just gone. And basically, all I can barely do is crawl. Like, my last reaction, I got to a wall and I just sat there next to the wall, trying to find my Benadryl that I keep for this type of situation, and more about that later. But I didn't have it on me. I had moved it to a different purse. So I was just left to figure things out, contemplating using my EpiPen, which I really, really don't want to do. EpiPens are only supposed to be used for, number one, if your throat closes up, and number two, if the person is unconscious. I was neither. So though I have an EpiPen, I didn't need one. So basically, I was just KO'd. Like, it was like somebody just knocked me out, but I wasn't knocked out quite yet. Almonds and flaxseed are not as severe. It's like a slow burn when it comes to the almonds. Like the boiling frog analogy, like, you know, where the frog itself doesn't understand that it's being boiled until it's too late. That's basically how it feels when it comes to almonds and me. For instance, my last almond reaction was when I was visiting my parents and my sister in Detroit. They have a whole bunch of almond products in their house that they didn't really think about, or they thought about, but they didn't think it was going to affect me. So I was staying with my parents, and my mom kept eating almonds while I was there. And she would eat almonds while I wasn't in the room, thinking that it wasn't going to affect me. I didn't really know about the almonds until one day she decided to leave the bag of almonds out. It was closed, but she left the bag of almonds out. And I realized what was going on with me. My sister, she has hot 6 oil at my parents' house and at her house. And both are open. And so it was, I closed them when I saw them, but basically it was too late. Like, I have already been exposed. It's in the air. It's just a slow burn from there. And then my dad, apparently he had some almond products in the back of his van. Yeah, so screwed. Like, it was funny because they said, well, yeah, we haven't bought any nut products in the house because we knew that you were coming. And those things were there. In fact, there was also another nut product, walnut product there. I'm not allergic to walnuts, but I kind of pointed it out to them saying, oh, you have no nut products, huh? And they're like, oh, well, you're not allergic to that, right? So yeah, I'm not allergic to that, but it is still a nut product. So what happened was that eventually I just became really lethargic, and it was scary to my mom. Like, she just kept on asking, what's wrong with you? What's wrong? And I'm like, I'm having an allergic reaction. Like, it was, I don't know how to explain it, but I just, all of a sudden, is just, I have no use of my muscles. I have to wait it out, and I can't breathe very well. I'm so focused on trying to breathe that you're probably not going to hear me talk that much, which I didn't appreciate about the last time I had a severe peanut allergy, which was April 17th, because everybody was asking me all these questions and they were getting more worried because I wasn't answering them because I was focusing on breathing. And so I had to answer them, and by answering them, then it was hard for me to get any type of breath. And so my situation got a lot worse than I would have liked it to be. Yeah, I just wanted that whole situation just to be done with, and it just got out of control. And what made matters worse is that the client was police. They were first responders. So it's like, why don't you know how to deal with my situation? And even with my team, my acting team, we help police officers with situations like these. Why didn't you know to just let me be? You know, if you notice that I'm losing consciousness, then, you know, get me back. But I feel like they were asking me questions just to make sure I stayed conscious, but it did more harm than good. About the flaxseed. Flaxseed is somewhere in the middle of peanuts and almonds. It's like a slow burn, like almonds, but it's more immediate. It's not as slow as almonds, but it doesn't hit me as quickly as peanuts. For instance, the last flaxseed situation that I remember was that I was at a birthday party, and the host asked me to take the cake and put it up. The cake was vegan. It was in a container, and I remember taking the cake and putting it down, and as soon as I put it down, the container opened just a bit. Like I felt the brush, like the wind of the container just hit my face. And I did not feel good after that. Turns out that there was flaxseed in the cake. For those people who don't know, for vegan cakes, flaxseed is used instead of egg to make the cake rise. So that hit me, and I had an allergic reaction from that. So the things that stay consistent is loss of breath and inflammation of my joints and my muscles. And that is during the episode. Now, the day after, my muscles are sore, I have puffy eyes, and I have eczema. And yes, eczema is an allergic reaction. Little do people know that eczema is an allergic reaction. I had it growing up, and nobody could tell me why until my food allergies became more severe. Now, other things that happen during an episode are abdominal pain, numb lips, numb tongue, and the rare loss of consciousness. Loss of consciousness is fairly new. I've lost consciousness twice so far. The scariest one was while I was driving and I had a passenger in the car. All I remember is that there was a lull to go to sleep. And I remember saying to myself, oh, sleep sounds so good. And I think I kind of just like closed my eyes just like that, like, oh, sleep sounds so good. And next thing I know, I'm somewhere else on the road. I'm still on the road. Praise God. I'm still on the road. But when I came to, I saw my passenger And by her frightened face, I can tell that I was KO'd. I actually went to sleep. Yeah, that wasn't the best time of my life. That situation told me that I probably shouldn't drive, but it doesn't go without trying, unfortunately. And I'll get to that a little bit later. Do I have an EpiPen, as I mentioned? Yes. Yes, I do. I actually have four EpiPens. I have not had to use them, obviously. 2 of them are quote unquote expired. And I say quote unquote expired because even my doctor says it's just recommended to get a new EpiPen every year. So I currently have 4, and that's not one for every year, unfortunately. Kind of like my makeup. 2 of them are expired. 2 of them are not. I keep one in what I call my medical bag, and I keep 2 of them in my car. I don't know where one of them is, actually. That's has remained a mystery since I moved from one house to another. But I know that I have 4. It's just one is missing. So, do I need an EpiPen? As I mentioned before. Not unless I'm unconscious or my throat is closing up. This was actually reinforced by one of the first responders. Well, actually by a paramedic. Apparently, a first responder is supposed to have a paramedic available with them at all times. And so their paramedic did come and check on me, and the paramedic was like, no, she doesn't need it. She's breathing. She's conscious. We only need it if she is not breathing and she is unconscious. So, no, I do not need an EpiPen if I am conscious and I am breathing. Thank you. So the next question was, do I need a hospital? No, I don't need a hospital. Typically, I can go home and I can sleep it off. Praise God, because I know there are people who can't do that. Hospitals or urgent care is great just to check on the person to see if they are cleared to go home. I have one urgent care that actually knows my face because my job used to be like right next to them. And even they were like, yeah, you need to take better precautions with your allergies. And I mean, I can only do so much. And the final question, what do I want to do? I just want to go home. That's it. I just want to get in my car. I want to drive home. Now, given with the information I gave you about that time that I actually did lose consciousness while driving, I understand that is not a good idea. But it's kind of like one of those situations where you get into your car and your car is on E and you're like, I know my car. Meaning that you know how far your car can go before it's completely out of gas. So, that's how I feel about my body. I know that if I'm able to control my breathing, then I'm able to drive. So, on April 17th, I couldn't control my breathing because they were asking so many questions and demanding that I answer them. They would not let me get into my car. They did not feel comfortable with me getting in my car, even though I said, hey, I'm not going to drive unless I feel comfortable driving. I'm just going to wait an hour because they actually did give me Benadryl. And it was like these little tiny little things. So I took 2 Benadryl and I was just waiting for the Benadryl to kick in so that I can go home. So I was hopefully going to be able to make it home safely, but they wouldn't allow me to drive, which that makes complete sense. And one of them just ended up taking me home. Now, I would say that that person kept on asking me questions throughout the whole time, but She drove me home. She didn't have to. So I appreciate her for doing so. And another reason why it was a bad idea for me to drive home was because I was not really familiar with the place. The time that I was able to make it home while unconscious, I put that to muscle memory. I was driving from my church to home, and I had driven that way multiple times. So I believe my body knew how to get home from church, that it just really wasn't a big deal. But given the area I was in on April 17th, it wouldn't have been a good idea for me to drive or try it out or tempt fate. So yeah, that was another reason why I let them drive me home. The reason why I hate not driving home in my car is because I'm from Detroit. And not to say Detroit is bad, but I've been taught not to leave your car anywhere unattended. And so in this situation, I was just going to be leaving my car, and I didn't want to leave my car. But my girls need me. My husband loves me, and I'm pretty sure that my life is much more valuable than a car. So I let these people drive me home, despite how annoying it was to be driven home for 2 reasons. But that I planned on talking about more in the next couple of videos. So those are the questions that I can remember. Of course, you know, the situations, there might have been more questions. If you don't have my condition and you have questions, you know, leave it in the comment section. I've only known 2 people who have my condition. So tell me, if you have an allergy condition like mine, what has been your experience? I really want to spread awareness. You know, the more that we talk about this, the more the YouTube gods are going to favor us, and we will spread awareness about our condition, which is basically a disability that just hasn't been recognized as a disability. We can't really go everywhere without some kind of concern that we're going to have an allergic reaction. So that's it for now. You may or may not see me in this same shirt for the next video. But until next time, I'm going to catch you later. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.